Alright, so I added this radio back on top of the other radio simply just because uh, where else am I going to put it? I really don't have anywhere else to put it. Um, I was using the 920 last night, and it really is good radio. Um, but with so many different radios to choose from, it doesn't really stand out to me too much. I mostly only use the 710 because of the output display, and it's a big reason I use it. It has really good noise reduction, and the receiver is really good. But it doesn't sound as good as the 7300 on transmit, and it doesn't really work on AM. And I do a little bit of AM every now and then on 80 meters and 40 and things like that. I haven't gotten a chance to really do much on 10 meter, but I understand it's been open. But yeah, I prefer the 7300 to the 710 in a lot of areas, but I'm not going to go buy the pan adapter card that people buy, the PTRX or whatever, and install it. You have to remove the antenna tuner port on the back of the radio, and then like it mounts in that spot, and it piggybacks on one of the cables of the radio, and so it's a basically, I guess it's a buffer amplifier for an RTL SDR dongle or something. So you still have to do that, and then the board itself is like $100 something from what I could tell. So I mean, it's nice, it's kind of professional, it's supposed to be safe and not have any effect on the radio's receive, whereas other IF taps could potentially, cause problems. I guess the issue is that with the tapping the IF on a lot of radios, the signal at the IF, if you would tap it, you might put like a coupling capacitor on it to not affect the circuit, but sometimes it still does anyways. And then I guess the signal isn't strong enough for the RTL SDR dongles and things like that to work. So basically, you still don't really have a display output. What you're doing at this point is you're tapping the IF of the radio, you're reading it on an SDR. Now you have to configure it to know what it's reading, and then now you have to configure cat control. And that's one of the things that I don't want. I don't want a bunch of wires hanging out of the back of the radio that could potentially pick up RF when you're transmitting at legal limit power levels. And that's what I saw recently was issues. And during one of the live streams, I've also seen issues that this radio shut down and turned itself off completely, because when I turn the amplifier on, when you turn it on, usually you get that like thunk, and there's this magnetic field collapsing as the big huge transformer in there powers up, and you can see it usually on the waterfall. This radio's not hooked up right now, so maybe this one will show it. You can see it on the waterfall usually when it turns on. Anyway, the waterfall on the 3000 is not that good, so you're not going to see it. So obviously I could do the same thing with this 3000 without having to buy a $100 board, and I could read the IF. It's even got an RX antenna output, and put an SDR play on that, and then pull that up on here. So to do that with the 7300 is like kind of silly. So you buy the 710 and you plug a DVI cable into the back of it, and you have an output. It's really simple. And the DVI cable has giant ferrites embedded in it. Excuse me, tired. Not been feeling well lately. Everybody's been kind of under the weather. Anyway, it has its shielding and stuff like that. So you have one cable coming out of the thing. I've got a coax cable and I've got a DVI cable. I don't have anything else. I don't have a mouse hooked up. I don't have a USB hooked up. I just use the display of the radio. It's really simple. And so that's where this radio really, really wins. So what I do if I want to get on AM or something like that, I use the 7300, and I really don't think any of my other radios actually do good AM, except for like my 101 and my 901 and stuff like that, and my 102s. But I don't think either one of these ones probably do. But I think it's possible that the 920 and the 3000 can sound okay, but I know that the 710 sounds terrible. So if you don't believe me, go ahead and try it. Anyway, so I did my station kind of how I want it for the most part, and we've got that ugly bunch of crap behind the wall, hidden and patched and insulated, and so that actually looks a lot better. There's a little spot that's open here, and it's good to get it done because winter's coming and it will get cold. I still got some more stuff I need to do, but you know, for the most part, I just need to get all the wires organized and stuff. I bought a short cable that I really didn't care for the other day. I have that on this radio. I have not transmitted with it, which would be a good idea because it is quite possible there's a problem with the cable and the fuse holders that won't show up until I transmit. So they were really, really short, and I did leave a bad review on Amazon about the cable. I mean, I don't think it's a bad deal at $11.99 for a cable that's 3 feet long. You can just cut the fuse holders out and throw it out and put, you know, some connectors on the other end, but that's not the point. That's not what I bought it for. I did find that it looks like DX Engineering actually sells a quality cable for about $23. And I couldn't find anywhere on Amazon where there was any quality cables for sale. They looked on Gigaparts too, and there wasn't any on there. I'm not really sure about Ham Radio Outlet, but definitely, you know, if you want to buy a cheap cable for the connector and the 3 feet of wire, I think it's probably worth it. But anyway, you can look at some of my other videos if you're curious about that. So anyway, right now I'm gonna play around with this. We did a live last night and we were talking about different stuff, and Pat told me to go ahead and update the Windows. So I actually did that right on the stream and couldn't believe that it was so easy. The mass gravel thing on GitHub, it was like seriously open PowerShell in Windows and add this script and boom, it was done. So I activated that one that way, and then the one on the other computer I used a more complicated one that was on GitHub, where you basically insert the code, and I believe it's only good for a year. Right now I'm actually got Linux on here, and I was trying to get this PlayStation 1 emulator to work within Linux, and I haven't had any luck with that yet either. I've downloaded a couple on this one. I haven't had any luck. I do have this version working on a Windows 7 computer in the house for the kids, and they're using that. So we've been doing a lot of stuff lately with computers, and just kind of getting like back into that kind of thing. You can really spend some serious time. I'm just not that smart when it comes to this stuff, so I have to do a lot of reading, and you know, I need to really concentrate and focus, and it's cool, but it's like it's also a huge waste of time. But there is a purpose behind it, you know, trying to get something to work, and so that's cool, rather than just like doing nothing and just fiddling around on the radio. So we've been trying to do that, so hopefully I'll figure that out. Also, another thing I want to do, I've got to get the PS3 that came from Goodwill hooked up over here, because it had, like, I don't know, maybe 100 something games on it, And I don't see that it's ever been modified, so I'm wondering if it has or not. And it doesn't play a disc. The drive appears to scratch the discs. It will play, but it doesn't work well. So we're trying to figure out something with that. I have another junk PS3 of the same kind of rounded one. So another thing I got to get to. I just really don't have the time to do all this stuff. And with my ADD and ADHD, I get distracted. I go down a rabbit hole. I spend 3 hours doing this, which has nothing to do with whatever I was on task doing before. So it happens. So anyway, we're getting towards the end of the month here, and just wrapping things up and trying to set some goals for the next month. I will catch you guys later in the next video.